This might be more niche to you, but do me a favor and drop a comment on your favorite engine destruction game. It's kind of a new genre coming on board gaming that I'm seeing a few games have, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Today we'll be talking about Before You Buy Empire's End by Brotherwise. This game is a game that falls up right up my alley with the engine destruction mechanic that we'll talk a lot more on later in this video and explain about why I like it so much. It is a John D. Clare game. If you don't know, he does Space Base and a few other games. And this game was very fitting of his. This is my favorite game that he's designed so far, for sure, but I'm also not a huge fan of the other games he's made. So let's go ahead and talk about whether or not this game is good for your team, your friends, and your shelf. Going into the overview of the game, we have the theme. The theme is leading an empire out of an age of calamity. So a lot of bad things are happening in the society. Your job is to make sure your empire comes out on top. You'll be competing with the other people inside of this game, whether it's one other player or up to 3 other players. This is like a board game for up to 4 players. The audience for this game are fans of auction games and fans of engine destruction games. That's a very niche audience right there, but you can also be a fan of John D. Clare games. This game does definitely feel like a John D. Clare game for sure. The hook, I would say, honestly, is that it's a John D. Clare and Brotherwise game. Brotherwise is known for having banger after banger. They have a very few games I don't think do too well, but even the ones I don't like, other people are huge fans of. The MSRP price of this game is $40 MSRP. I don't see this go for any cheaper on sale or anything like that, but you could probably get it used for about $25. I've seen some of that in the market, maybe about $30. The production quality in this game is there for sure. It's more so, can you replay it enough times to get $40 worth out of the game? Let's go and talk about the details of the game. We have the player count, which is 2 to 4 players. You have one side of the board that's the 2-player side of the board, another side for 3 players and 4 players. But there's also some variation on the board depending if you're playing with 3 players or 4 players and whether or not you want to have a faster game or not. The weight for this game is 2.3 out of 5. If you don't know, the weight for the game means 1 is kind of a super easy Uno-like game. 5 is a super hard game that doesn't even exist really. 2.3 is kind of the framework where you have to have a lot of strategy to understand what you need to do in what order, because this game's all about the PEMDAS, because you need to have these 2 resources at this stage of the game in order to convert that into these 2 resources to maybe get more points out of this, to buy this, to do this at the end of the game. So it's interesting. You don't really know too much about what's coming up in the auction, which is nice, because something you could really need could pop out of nowhere, and then you have to determine whether or not other people want you to have that, or if they kind of just want to hurt themselves in order to get the rewards, which we'll talk about more in a second. The length of the game is about 60 minutes, regardless of who you play with, because a lot of the larger chunks of the game, the heavier versions, the more challenging aspects of the game are simultaneous. So it's really about whoever the slowest player is will be the holdup. All the income phases, all the war phases, all of the innovation phases are all simultaneous. It's really just about who is the slowest player, the weakest link, if you will. So I would say it's about 60 minutes. If you play quickly, you can get it done in 30 or 45, to be honest. But that's really dependent on who you're playing with and if you're intentionally playing for speed or not. The aesthetics for this game, is pretty solid. If you look at the front box, if this looks appealing to you, you should play this game. Check out the B-roll footage right here. We have some beautiful shots. The back of some of these pieces are holographic with the fire and flames. You can't tell too much right now. But the art style is pretty unique and interesting. I call it like a historic glory of some points, because it definitely is beautiful. It is colorful. Everything is very distinct on the pieces. You can definitely tell what's what. The main issue is the brown and black on the bottom abilities are kind of intertwined, even though black means when it gets destroyed, brown means innovation phases. But honestly, they're still distinct. It's more so you have to understand that brown and black are for 2 different purposes in the game. The iconography makes the most amount of sense once you understand the game. So hopefully if someone teaches you this game, but honestly, we learned from the rulebook and it was very quick. It did not take too long whatsoever. I would truly say that this game with people who are locked in would probably take about 45 minutes. But the look of this game, again, it is nice. I saw some things that they did that they definitely didn't need to do. For instance, your player starting tiles could have been paper, but it would have been confusing what is your upgraded abilities, because those are paper, pieces of paper. And if your starting locations were also pieces of paper, it could get kind of confusing and have a lower value. But by having them be like thick pieces of cardboard, I really, really appreciated that, because they definitely didn't have to. But I'm very glad they did, which is why I say overall, this is actually, in my opinion, is worth like 30 to 40 bucks. So the $40 MSRP isn't that bad whatsoever. It's more so, do you have the group to play this game? Going to the in-game information, we have the setup time, which is about 10 minutes, mainly because you have to hand everyone their boards. They have to assemble it in one way. It's kind of like Libertalia, where one person will randomly grab their tiles and put them in a certain order, then everyone else will replicate that exact order. And then you have to make sure everyone gets their one little piece and puts it on the point board to discuss whether or not you want to have a fast game or a normal length game. I suggest the fast game because this game can not get tedious or monotonous, but you just want to play this game. In my opinion, you should end a game while you still want to play it. If you end a game when everyone's kind of waiting for it to wrap up, that's a little bit too late, and it's sad because then you're not going to want to run it back. You might want to wait a bit before you pull off your shelf again. So the lightning mode of the game is kind of like space based, starting with I think it's called like the space warp, whatever it's called, where you start with a lot more resources and something damaged. Which I think is more fitting because then you could actually have like a leg up in the game. You're not waiting to build as much. The teach for this game is about 10 minutes, mainly because you're really teaching everyone the iconography, what happens when, what the appendices for everything, and kind of a little bit of strategy probably. So I'd say about 10 minutes truly. It's not a complicated game by any means, but you really just have to go through everything and say, why is this important? Why is this important? Why you want to be on the lookout for this, what some of the cards look like, what the war card looks like, different abilities, the resource, point scoring, all that fun stuff. So it's about 10 minutes, truly. I don't see how it could be shorter than 7, really, but it shouldn't take longer than 15, which is why I say around 10. The two main mechanics in this one, I can only think of 3, but the third one's kind of just general. We have, resource management, which is kind of general, but then you have auction and engine destruction. So let's go ahead and go in a little bit more of those. So the way the game plays, how it plays and how it feels. What you will do is everyone has starting resources of some kind. You have 2 coins, like 2 axes, 2 of this, 2 of that. When a card gets flipped over, that is what you're vying to not have destroying your city. There's a number on the card, and then going from left to right, you will be counting out with your little flames that number out. So if it's only 2, you'll go 1, 2, and put that flame on your second location. Meaning that if you win the bid, like if you accept the current bid, you're going to collect that destruction in that location. They're going to get destroyed, and then you're going to slot that card and get the bottom ability anywhere on your field. So you're really having to think of a lot of different things. You have to determine whether or not it's worth destroying a location, because each location has their own ability on it. And if you look at the top section of each location, there's a huge variation of the scoring on them. It goes all the way from like 6 points to 35 points. And at the beginning of the game, I had my 35-point location destroyed. I'm like, this is stupid, because it takes a lot of hammers to rebuild this. And you can only rebuild 1 location per turn. And if the location's destroyed, you don't get to score it. If there's an ability on it, you don't get to use that ability. It could definitely hurt in a lot of different ways. So you have to be really aware of what you're destroying. Additionally, if you decide to chip into the auction, and you pay something in the auction, you have to wait for it to come back to you before you collect. Whenever you collect the prize and you accept that punishment, you're going to gain everything people have put in the auction so far, which is pretty impressive. But sometimes you want to destroy something on your city just so other people don't get the resources, or sometimes you want the ability, or sometimes a little bit of both. So it's really about like a pusher. It's like you're really just like kind of pushing it and seeing like how far can you go before someone else takes the prizes and rewards. And really, if you don't have enough of a certain resource, you kind of have to accept it early on. So you really have to make sure you have enough resources, not just to pay for points and pay for the conversions and pay for some other stuff. You have to make sure you have enough for all the auctions in between phases, because you can go a lot of phases without having any auctions. I mean, you won't be able to gain resources, and you'll be spending a lot of resources if you're not intentionally destroying your location. So if you have no food and a food location comes out, and you're the next player in the turn order, and you have no coins, because coins be used as wild resources. If you have no coins, no food, you have to accept it, which sucks. And you can definitely get into a fail state. So make sure you have some leftover resources for sure. It's if you don't, it's push your luck, and I don't think that's a game you want to play. So that's a little bit about those mechanics, and that's kind of what it feels like. So it's a little bit masochistic, which I appreciate, because I like the feeling of having, you can have an engine at the beginning of the game. Everyone has their own engine. It's the exact same engine, but everyone has their own engine at the beginning of the game. It's really about when you start destroying it, what you want to sacrifice to gain something. Maybe it's an ability, maybe it's the resources. So it's really just about like, what do you want to do? You have to be okay with hurting yourself, and that can feel very, very negative in certain games. But by having this be the entire game, I think John DeClaire did a great job. I think Brotherwise, also did a great job with this game in that regard, because I was so willing to hurt myself at the beginning of the game because I saw where the game was going. I said, you know what? Let's start off with hurting myself. I did do some mistakes. I hurt myself way too much. Like I took the first like 3 bids and I didn't get that many resources in, and I lost my 35-point location. I lost my 17-point location. So I lost some pretty high locations at the beginning of the game. But by the end of it, because of what I was willing to sacrifice early on, I ended up winning because they ended up having to discard some locations in the meantime. And since I had so many resources, I didn't have to discard all their locations, and I made sure to gain some abilities that let me score based off dead location. So very interesting. I'll say that much right now. Like, it's very interesting with what it lets you do and what it wants you to do. So you have to be willing to go down the path it's leading you towards and not try to fight it. You know what I mean? If the game wants to be a self-destructive game, you have to encourage that. And if I'm not gonna lie, if you're able to win without destroying your location, I think that's not a game I want to play, because I don't like any game where you have to ignore the premise in order to win, because the whole point of this game is self-destruction. So if I could win without self-destruction, that's not a game I want to play with. So it's really just how much can you destroy yourself in order to gain. That's really the balance you want to play with in this. But what I liked is everything I mentioned so far. I like the balance. I'm fine. I like the self-destruction because it's very unique in this kind of game. You're paying to not win the bid, basically. And whenever you stop paying to increase the bid, you collect the bid, so you quote unquote win, and you damage something. But also you get resources, and also you get to gain an ability. So it's kind of like a lot of pros for what doesn't feel that much negative, because you can always just rebuild the location if you get enough hammers. But hammers, again, you have to use in the auction sometimes. It's really about what you want to do with those hammers. I can't think of anything I really dislike. The only thing I will say I dislike about this game is because of the principles of the game, principalities, I don't know how to call it. Not too many groups of people are going to like this game. It's going to be very difficult to find a group of 4 that would enjoy this game for what it is and not what they want it to be, if that makes sense. Because someone might, as I said, try to not destroy themselves because it feels bad, and then they end up losing halfway through the game, and then they're trying to catch up, and they're just like, oh, it's useless. I'm already so far behind. I don't have an engine. And that could suck for them. And you have to tell people heads up, like, hey, this is an engine destroyer. It's going to destroy itself as you build it up. So it's kind of a balance in that regard. So I just don't like how niche of a game this is, but I actually like this a lot. We all liked it. I'll say we all enjoyed it, but I want to replay this a lot more times because I think there's a lot of replayability based on just the order of the starting cards lineups, and also what auctions come out when, and what abilities I want to go with, what strategies I want to go with. The strategy I had currently was conversion. I took 1 wheat and I turned it into 2 other things, but also I got 2 points based off every wheat I had. So I also wanted to collect wheat while turning it into other things. So it was a nice back and forth. And I won based off, like, we were not far off in scoring. We were only 1 location away from first place to last place, which is very interesting. So I like a lot, but I do dislike how niche this game would be. The similar games in this category, I would say, is Moon Colony Bloodbath. I don't know almost any engine destroyers. I just can't think of the only other one I know. But Moon Colony Bloodbath, it's also a situation where you have a collective deck. It's a deck builder for a singular collective deck, which I think is so interesting. And you really have to determine how much you want to hurt everyone, including yourself, in order to gain a little bit. And the thing is, everyone's going to be contributing to this deck. Everyone's going to be adding things in there eventually. And if you hold out because you don't want to hurt everyone, you're also going to be gaining the least. So it's really about what you can put in there to get out of it while hurting everyone type stuff. Because the game will end whenever one person has no points whatsoever. Because every person on your board is a point. And when you run out of people, the game ends because someone's completely wiped out of the game and there's no player elimination, really. They just get last place. And I like that a lot about this game. So Moon Colony Bloodbath does a similar thing in a completely different way, because it is self-destruction, but with a lot more resource management and a lot more. It's a deck builder with a singular deck, which I think is a very interesting mechanism. I'm really looking forward to seeing more engine destroying games, to be fully honest. So going into what I purchased this game, honestly, even at the MSRP of $40, if I had a group that I believed would play this enough, yes. But since it's kind of a risk about whether or not people would like to play a self-destructive auction game, I would probably pay about $30 for it, which isn't bad because you can find it used for about 25 to 30. It's just a matter of fact of actually finding this game on sale or used in some capacity. Because $40, the production quality is worth it, in my opinion, which I don't say that very often. But this is not that bad of a game. Pretty decent production quality with the art, with the components, with the inserts all have lids to it. That's very important. I didn't take a video of it, but all the inserts here have a lid, which is why it's worth 40. If without the insert, it'd be worth 30 max easily. But with the insert, I don't have to 3D print anything on it. $40, 100%. if I knew people that would like the game, and I'd play at least like 5 times. Would I replay the game? 100%. This has a lot of replayability to it, and I think that this is, again, because of just the setup of the board itself, and there's a lot of replayability towards it, but also depending on the different strats you want to go. Do you want to go towards war? You never have to win a war whatsoever in order to win this game. Do you want to go towards mass self-destruction? Go towards specific end goal scoring abilities? Do I have a better engine? Do I want to go towards rebuilding myself? Do I want to go towards food conversion? A, B, C, and D. There's a lot of different strategies in this game, and it all depends on the auctions you can win. All depends on the setup of the board and who you're playing with. And I think that that's a great time. If you could change the game based on who you play with, fantastic time. So yeah. So talking about the final ranking for this game, if you don't know, every game I do a video on, I rank it from the best to the worst. Number 1 being the game that's the best in the world and is currently Andromeda's Edge, and the lowest one being the worst game in the world. I also have tiers on this. So the S tier is perfect, the E tier is broken, I never want to play it again, and I'm actively avoiding ever playing those games again. In regards to that, we have 141 games ranked, and this game is ranked number 47 out of 141. This game is a strong B tier game, I would say that much. It's not too far from the top, not too far from the bottom, and it is right underneath Mycelia, the mushroom game that is, I don't know what it's called. It's an area control game, and it's right above Feed the Kraken, which is a social deduction game, and also the only social deduction game I think is good. The reason why is this game is just, I think it's very unique, so it goes up a lot just because it's a game that you can't find too much of similar taste. I think Moon Colony Bloodbath is also going to be in the same tier. It's also going to be in B tier, but it's just going to be a little bit higher because I do like that collective deck building aspect more than I like this repetitive auction, because this game is a strict auction bidding game for sure. So if you don't like that, this game's not for you. I'll say that right now. So this game is fun. I liked it. Number 47 is pretty high because games I really like are starting at about 100. So this game, it sits at a pretty decent place right now. So yeah, I really like what this game does. I can't speak high enough about it. Overall, that's everything for today. Thank you for watching this video. If you are watching this on mobile, go ahead and go to the comments and go to the hype section. Give us a hype. It changes a lot of who watches this video, and it helps us in a lot of different ways. We're officially monetized. Thank you so much for watching this and supporting our channel. I'm very excited to say that, so I'll be saying that for a little bit. If you want to get this game, go and check out the Brotherwise website. I'm not paid for this video, but thank you, Brotherwise, for sending me a copy of this game. They sent it for Convoy, and again, Brotherwise it's one of the best teams I've worked with, and I love working with them. I'm looking forward to working with them more in the future. But yeah, that's everything. Peace, have a great day, God bless, and I really hope to see you at a table soon.